So let's start with touch. And basically with touch will allow us to create blank files. By using touch and specifying a file name, I can create that new file. By doing an ls, you can see that blank.txt has been created. Touch allows us to provide additional arguments to the command. By providing more than one file that we wish to create, we can instead create more than one file. You can see that blank2 and blank3.txt have both been created. Next, we'll look at the file command. The file command simply allows us to get information on a file. Let's ls in this directory. We can see there's a number of files, the blank files we created earlier, and a few folders, and a few text files. So let's do file on txt.text. By doing file on txt.text, we can see the file has told us that it's an ASCII2 text file. By simply using file on any files that we have, we are able to get basic information about what's inside the file, i.e. the content type. So what happens if we use file on an empty file? As you can see, if we try to use file on an empty file, it tells us the file is empty. This is because in Linux, when we are using file detection is done on the contents of the file, rather than utilizing the file extension. We can also do file on a directory. In this case, if we do it on empty. However, you will see all the file tells us is that this is a directory. So what if we wanted to create a directory called new directory? We could simply do mkdir new dir, and if we do an ls, you will see that new dir has been created. Similar to touch, mkdir will also allow us to provide multiple arguments. In this case, I can create new dir 2, and I can also create new dir. Next, we'll look at rm. And rm allows us to remove a file. So if we do an ls, we can see our various files that we had earlier. If I wanted to remove empty, I could do rm empty.txt. Similar to touch, I can provide more than one argument. If I do new file 2, and if I do new file 3, you will see I can delete both of them utilizing rm. If I do an ls, you will see that both have been deleted. What about these folders though? How do I go about deleting them? Well, I can provide another option to rm called rmr. And what rmr does is basically state recursive. And what rm recursive does is it says if we're deleting a folder, so delete all information inside that folder, including the folder itself. So if we done rmr on a directory, we could delete it. However, if we tried rm on its own, on another directory, you see we can't delete it. So we must utilize the recursive option if we wish to delete a directory. rm also provides another option known as rmi. And what rmi does is it basically allows us to provide an interactive option. So what that means is when I do rmi, I will get confirmation if I want to delete the file or not. This is important and useful when utilizing the rm command, as rm can be fairly destructive. For instance, what would happen if I tried to do rmr on my root directory? I could essentially delete everything on my file system. So you must take an air of caution when using this command. Move command allows it to do two things. It allows it to rename files and folders, or it allows it to move them to another location. So we do an ls, and we see we have a couple of files and folders in here. So what would happen if we wanted to move test3.txt to folder. So if we simply do text3.txt to folder, that will move the file. So move just needs a format, move space the file you want to move, and then the location where you want to move that file to. If we do an ls, we can see that the file is moved. We can confirm this by cding to the folder and lsing, and we'll see that test3 has been moved into the folder. If we cd back into our demo folder, we can also do another thing with move. And what we can do with move is we can also rename files. So say for instance we wanted to rename test.txt to rename.txt. Well, we can use move to do this. And by using move and doing test.txt, we can then change that to rename.txt. And if we do an ls, we can confirm that move has renamed this file. Last command we're going to look at is the cp command. So the cp command basically allows us to copy files and folders. It's similar in style to the move command. So the move command can be thought of as cut and paste, in that it removes the original file, and cp can be thought of as copy and paste, in that it copies the original file to a new location. So let's try to cp a file we've got here. So if we wanted to cp rename to rename 4, we can see that that is now taking effect. cp also allows us to cp a folder, and we can do this similar as well by using the recursive option. And again, the recursive option simply states that we want to copy all files and folders inside a subdirectory. So by doing cp-r, we can do this. So if we wanted to do copy folder, we can do cp-r folder, and if we wanted to copy that to folder 2, we can do an ls, and we can see that cp has copied folder to folder 2.